Okay, so in the first two videos, we knew something was going on, but not what. And now we're going to talk about what's going on. So we have this one, cum intraviset, when he had entered. Cum odira, while he was, or when he was hating. Cum velat, when he was wanting. Cum capiset, when he had seized. So what does all of this have in common? Well, they have the subjunctive in common, which, if you noticed, was the beginning title. So we're talking about subjunctive. They're called cum clauses because they have the word cum in every single one of them. And they just sort of talk about what's happening while other things are happening. Amazing. So there's two types of subjunctive. You saw the pluperfect subjunctive first. And here I've chosen to use the word amo because it's usually my example. It's such a regular verb that it makes it easy to use it as an example. So I have here all four principal parts of amo. Amo, which means I love. Amare, which means to love, is the infinitive. Third principal part, amawi, which means I loved, and that's why it's with all the perfects. And the fourth principal part, amatum, which is the supine form. Sometimes you'll see it as amatus, which is the past perfect passive participle form. But either way, loved, has been loved, something like that. All right. So basically, to make the pluperfect subjunctive is pretty straightforward. You use the third principal part. That's why it's red right there. You're going to add SSE to it. So then we end up with amawisse. And then you add an ending. And the endings for all the subjunctive forms are MST, mustis, and T. This is pretty familiar, hopefully, if you're used to OST, mustis, and T being the present tense endings. You're really just changing one ending out. So voila. You have the pluperfect, my French is horrible, sorry. You have the pluperfect subjunctive. So you end up with amawisem, which becomes I had loved. Amawises, you had loved. Amawiset, he had loved. Amawisemus, we had loved. Amawisetis, y'all had loved. And amawisent, they had loved. All right, so with the imperfect, it's very similar in that you're just going to use a section of the verb, one of the principal parts, in this case the second one, which is also known as the infinitive. And then you're going to add one of those subjunctive endings. So you have amo, amare, amawi, amatum. We're going to use the second one, amare, and we're just going to add an ending. So you end up with amara, I was loving. Amares, you were loving. Amaret, he was loving. Amaremus, we were loving. Amaratus, y'all were loving. And amarant, they were loving. When we have all that put together, basically you've had it with a cum. And at this point, we haven't really explored the subjunctive a whole lot, but you use these specifically only in special situations when we're using these subjunctive. So right now we're using them with cum, and that makes a cum clause. And then these cum clauses build meaning with that subjunctive. So the fact we have a cum here at the very beginning of the sentence, and then kpiset, which is that pluperfect ending there. If you look at the third person down at the bottom, we have amawiset, same type of ending. Then we get this when whatever had happened. So when he had seized an idea in this case. So hopefully that sort of clarifies that for you. I would do some practice. Make some of your own cum clauses, anything along those lines, and you should have this down pretty quickly. Good luck.